are now tuned into the truth frequency.
Your protection from deception. This is Truth Frequency Radio.
Live from Melbourne and all around the world, wherever you may be, I'm your host, NIKKI Colombo, and welcome to the NIKKI Colombo Show. And tonight we have a very special guest coming on. James Gilliland is coming on. And just before I read his bio, I just want to mention you guys out there, you starseeds, you light workers and indigos, if you go and check out Lisa Renee's latest newsletter this week on energetic synthesis, oh my God, it is a knockout. Read it, guys. It's got some fantastic information on there. We're going to go through a major transitional change in the next 5 years. So, James Gilliland is a best-selling author, international known lecturer, minister, counsellor, multiple near-death experiencer and contactee. James is recognised worldwide as the founder of the Gilliland Estate, previously referred to commonly known as the Eceti Ranch, enlightened contact with extraterrestrial intelligence, where he documents and shares amazing multidimensional contact phenomenon, which can be viewed at www.eceti.org. His weekly As You Wish talk radio program on the bbsradio.com draws an audience from all around the world who are interested in truth and higher consciousness. James's books, Reunion with Source, Becoming Gods Too, which I have read and I absolutely love, guys. Go out there and get it. It's amazing. We'll talk a little bit about that tonight. And The Ultimate Soul Journey, Educate, Awaken, Inform and Heal. His latest book, Annunaki Return Star Nations and the Days to Come, is a powerful look at what is happening on a multidimensional level as we move forward in this great time of change. He is the host of documentaries Contact Has Begun and Contact Has Begun Too, and has been featured in documentaries, television shows such as His Story, the History Channel, UFOs Then and Now, UFO Hotspots, ABC, Fox News, BBC, Danny Dyer Special, Paranormal State, and the Uncontrolled narrative. He has also appeared on numerous radio shows, including Coast and Jeff Rense. His unique focus on dispelling the myths propagated by the disinformation system make him an in-demand speaker at events such as International UFO Congress, Contact in the Desert, and the Star Knowledge Conferences. He also hosts Eceti Popular Science, Spirit, and World Transformation Conference every summer at the Gilliland Estate. He's a facilitator of many Eastern disciplines, a visionary dedicated to the awakening and healing of humanity and the earth, and he teaches high dimensional realities from his experience. An unprecedented event is unfolding at the Gilliland Ranch near Mount Adams and Trout Lake, Washington, that has the potential to change the course and the destiny of humanity and the earth. The people of Earth are being offered a chance to join the rest of the universe in peace and participate in spiritual awakening and benevolent extraterrestrial contact. UFO sightings, all phenomena, CE5 contact and UFO contact with spiritually and technologically advanced extra and ultra-terrestrial off-world visitors. A greater family of man has occurred at the Gilliland Ranch near Mount Adams. So, my God, James Gilliland, I finally got you on the show. I'm so happy that you're here. Welcome to the show. How is it over there?
Oh, doing great. Great to be on the show. We have one of yours over here. We've got Peter Slatter staying with us right now and had an amazing experience already just with the first day he came here.
Oh, wow. Do you want to talk about that? I mean, I was going to get into how this all kind of started for you. Just for the people who are new to, who haven't discovered you yet, I was going to ask you if you'd do a little summary of how this all started for you, and then we can get into the old ship that actually passed over last night. How did this all start for you, James, for people who aren't familiar with your work here? Just a quick summary.
Well, I've had contact all my life. I didn't totally understand it, but, you know, even as a kid, I was having contacts. And one time I was out, we live in the high desert, you know, right in Giant Rock, you know, where a lot of those things were happening out there.
Yeah.
And that's where I was as a kid. And I remember my dad would come in and I'd be putting these big screws through the door, you know, going to the outside. And he goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, "Keeping them out," you know. And so I didn't totally understand what was going on at the time. And most of my contacts were benevolent. And you know, it took me a long time to actually learn exactly what's going on, who is contacting me, and to sift through the nonsense. I mean, there are entities that are not in your highest and best good, you know, Greys, reptilians, and a whole host of others. And so, you know, through self-mastery, eventually you figure out who's who, and you learn how to heal unseen negative influences and block out the ones that, you know, you don't want to engage. But, you know, there's just a long history of contact, near-death experiences, visitations. You know, I can go on and on, but I actually don't like talking about myself. I
know it's hard, isn't it? It feels like you're kind of bragging about yourself. So I'm glad I wrote out your bio. That's a big mouthful. I've been looking at your stuff for years and watching your videos and read your books and everything like that. I absolutely resonate with all the stuff that you do over there and everything that you're producing right now. It's amazing. It just lifted me up and gave me a big quantum leap, especially when I read the book, Becoming Gods 2, and I was fascinated about the waves that are coming in and what goes on in between those energetic waves, and how it gradually just clears out a lot of our emotional garbage that we've been hanging on to, so that we can bring more light into our bodies. You know, which harmonizes and vibrates to all these good frequencies are coming on. And then there's a flip side of people who've got a negative kind of, you know, vibrations. They kind of, you know, slide down to the negative vibrations. So I feel like it's kind of a spiral that's kind of twisting on both sides at the moment, that one energy is going up and one energy is going down. Is that what you kind of feel, James? Is that what's going on right now?
Yeah, there's definitely a vibrational lifting going on, and we're moving to a highly energized place in space that we've never been before. And all the planets are going through changes, you know, especially atmospheric changes. And so it's all about, it's kind of like a natural cycle that we're in. It's a grand cycle. And, you know, what I say is resistance is futile. It's the forces behind this are so big, and they're pushing everything to the surface, and that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing all the negative, you know, in the arena, all these different, especially positions of power that have been abusive in the past. Those are all being seen for what they are, basically. And so a lot of the misuses and abuses, you know, even religious abuses, political abuses, business abuse, it doesn't matter. Whatever institution has gone against universal law is being either transformed or it's just going to implode and collapse in on itself.
That's what I feel right now, and that's why I can feel these rumbles in the energy in the last couple of weeks. People have been telling me about all these funny ascension symptoms, like, you know, leaky ear and all this kind of stuff going on. And, you know, with all the energies out there, people are having it, it's coming out for different symptoms. And I guess it's all coming up for healing, and that gives us an opportunity to heal, you know, past lives and all the negative stuff that's gone on. And that's a lot of your work, isn't it, James, where you give people a lot of tools and techniques to actually heal not only this life but your past life as well. What goes on in a transformation? What are the workshops that you have where it's a transformation, energetic transformation healing technique that you do? What goes on there?
Yeah, we call them transpersonal sessions.
That's it.
And basically what we is we start out and we just clear any unseen negative, energies around the individual, and make sure that they're in a sacred space. And we find out who their main teacher and guide is. And once we do that, we use their main teacher and guide. And it's like, some people call it a spiritual roto-rooter, or this is your life, because we just go in and we start clearing out past life trauma, childhood trauma. We go into the beneficial lives and reconnect you with those. And it's like a quantum leap. It's an amazing, having a lot of different counselings all in one session.
Yeah, you know what? I when I saw some pictures on your website about people's arms disappearing and the phasing and everything like that, and that beautiful picture that you've got of the Tibetan monk, she's female and she's actually going completely transparent. I've experienced that myself when I've put myself in these higher frequencies, and I've just been dancing out the deck, and people have taken a couple of photos and my arms have disappeared. I have my arms holding them up, up above my head, because I'm just like, I'm happy and I'm dancing around, and next thing you know, both my arms have disappeared. Is this happening a lot around the world, James? Are body parts missing and people disappearing, and is that what's happening? Are people actually going through this dimensional shift right now because their bodies are disappearing? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, definitely. When we do the self-mastery classes or the ambassador training classes, we teach some very ancient practices. One is Qigong, and it's a very ancient form of like Qigong, but it's the original. It's very simple. And when people are doing this process, they start vanishing, and you can see right through them. You can see the chair that they're sitting in, right through their bodies. And that happens on a regular basis. I have a lot of photographs of me phasing out and then phasing back in. And people don't realize it's not that hard to step out of this frequency and move into another one. And you're totally aware of everybody around you, but they won't be aware of you. It's quite interesting, because the higher levels are always aware of the levels beneath them, but the levels beneath them are not all of them. And so it's not uncommon. Many times I'll do my practices and I walk out and there'll be 8 or 9 people standing there talking, and I walk up and I go, "Hey, how's it going?" Like this, and they jump out of their shoes. And they go, "Where'd you come from?" I go, "Where in the heck do you come from?" Like this, and I kind of forget. And the animals too. I'll be doing meditation. One time I had a coyote walk right up to me, and he kept sniffing and sniffing. He walked right up to me, and he was just maybe 2 feet away, not very far away. And I went boo to him like this, and he jumped straight up in the air and let out a little yelp, and then kind of growled at me. He wasn't too happy. we do that kind of a lot here. There's a lot of things like that. It's not uncommon. There's one of the people here, Kathy, gets phenomenal photographs lately of beings like Kuan Yin, and we've got photographs of Mary appearing here, Babaji. A lot of masters, a lot of beings that are just pure energy. We get incredible photographs of that happening on a regular basis.
And when you jump up to those higher levels, does it look the same? What do you see when you're in that vibration?
Everything seems to be clearer, and all your senses are heightened. You're hearing, everything is kind of accelerating. You just feel kind of giddy, really high, kind of giddy, and you don't. A lot of times you don't even know that you're invisible to others. Yeah, you don't even realize. But the cameras will pick it up, and other people will go, "Where'd they go?" And they see them blink in and out, and I'm seeing a lot of that in photos. That's what happened to me. That's how I discovered it. I thought, "Oh my God, where are my body parts? They're completely missing." And I thought, okay, well, where are you going? Like, what is it? Does it still look the same as the Earth in that vibration? But everything's just heightened. Is that right? Yeah, you're in the next level. I mean, you can go on from there, because we're multidimensional beings, and we exist on a vibrational continuum all the way back to the source. and you can actually, I've gone up to the 13th dimension. That's just as I've gone, but it's possible to have that ability. Unfortunately, most people are walking around thinking they're a body, a personality, and that's where they are. That's what they believe, and they haven't gone beyond that. They're a spirit that has a body and a personality, and they're
dimensional. Yeah, you're just chipping in and out, sweetie. I've actually seen a great illustration in your book about the extra bodies there, and it really did give me a good idea and a picture in my head about how we have these other bodies around us, just like an onion. We've got our emotional body, our spiritual body, our higher dimensional body, our monad body, and all these other bodies on these other dimensions. And it took a little while for me to actually get my head around multidimensionality, but now I understand it from a different point of view. I understand that there are other bodies and intelligences on those other levels, and we're interacting with those levels, whether we're aware of it or not. The thing is that with these other dimensions and that you talk about, there's like a psychic barrier, and okay. Now, tell us about the psychic barrier and what level that's at, and are there tricksters that can't go through that psychic barrier? Are they the ascended masters? Are some of them ascended masters, or what's going on there?
Yeah, once you get beyond the psychic barrier, you go into the etheric realms and ascended masters and fifth dimensional things and things of that nature. But below the psychic barrier, you have a lot of astral influence, and that's a lot of 4D stuff, and there's where in the fourth dimension, it's a massive dimension. It's huge, and in the lower dimensions, in the fourth dimension, you can run into grays, reptilians, disfigured beings. Like, it gets kind of ugly. And in the mid levels of the fourth dimension, you have kind of everyday people that are just reincarnating. You can, if your car breaks down, you can connect to Joe at the garage and probably get some help with that. And then in the higher levels, you have teachers. You have guides and teachers, but they're not Christed yet. Or ascended, because they have a belief system that separates them. They have some cultural or religious belief that doesn't allow them to move into unity consciousness and see the creator in all creation. So they're in those levels, can give you some assistance and some guidance, but it'll be limited, because they haven't gotten through out of the fourth dimension into the higher dimensions, into unity consciousness.
Now, isn't that interesting that they, because of us, we kind of perceive them as being higher and they would be more intelligent and awakened, but that's not necessarily true, because there are people on the earth that are higher in their vibration and dimensional consciousness than actually on the earth. So I find that really fascinating, that there are unity consciousness on the earth, and that they're not on those other dimensions. And that's probably why some people who channel are getting a bit of misinformation there, because they're not exactly unity consciousness. Is that what you think is going on with some of this channeling that we hear and see, that people really believe is, that's what they believe, but it's actually a bit of misinformation, isn't it?
Exactly. I actually wrote a book about channeling, and basically what happens is that first thing you want to do before you do any channeling whatsoever, any even meditation, is do clearings and clear unseen negative influences and make sure you're in a sacred space. And a lot of people don't do that, and then they just let anything in. Some people are channeling their own subconscious. Some people are channeling astral beings that aren't enlightened. You have a saying, just because you're dead doesn't mean you're enlightened, and just because you're an ET doesn't mean you're enlightened. And so you always have to use discernment and have those tools in your belt so you can clear these other energies out. And a lot of people, unfortunately, they haven't received the training, and they've been hooked. They have a psychic bond or some kind of a connection with a being that may not be in their highest and best good, that could be, utilize them, even feeding off them energetically. And so it's so important to have some training on how to heal unseen negative influences and how to discern and maintain your own self-authority and understand universal law so you can discern whether or not this being is in unity consciousness. Are they operating under universal law? Because a lot of people will hook into this being and they'll hook you through flattery, and they'll tell you you're the chosen one, you're or Jesus or you're Mary or they'll tell you all these things, and they hook into you, and it becomes spiritual ego, and people get caught up in that, and it's kind of rough. It's a rough to break. You have to really get back into humility and realize you might not be working with who you think you are or things like that, and actually just learn to do these clearings. It's very simple to clear your energy.
And they can get that on your website, can they, James?
Yeah, it's in the books. It's on the website. It's free on the website, and it's so important. I can't stress enough to learn how to heal unseen negative influences. If everybody did it, we could clean up levels. And what's happening right now with a lot of these dark hearts here, especially in certain arenas, is that they've sold their souls, through ritual and things like that to these dark forces, and start clearing these darker forces out, and all of a sudden they don't have anybody to connect to. Their puppet master's gone, and they just end up floundering. They end up screwing up and taking themselves out, basically. But it's so important that it's all, they always say, you have to keep an open mind, loving heart, and pure intent. And you can't make power over others and wealth a priority in your life. If you do, you're hooked in to those other entities.
That's like, it's like a karmic spiritual bank that builds up, and eventually you have to pay for that later on down the track, especially in the music industry when we see all that all that symbology. You can tell that some of these artists have definitely I know this sounds like a cliche, sold your soul, but it's true, isn't it, James? I know, this is what I couldn't understand, how there are people out there who actually, want to destroy their own mother. I just, like, our Mother Earth and our own bodies and everything like that. As human beings, that sounds like insanity to me. So, to me, it's not us. I don't think that the human race is that stupid that we would, destroy our own mother. And so that made me question, hang on a minute, if these people up the top are actually, have got no regard for our Mother Earth and us at all, and they have no empathy and compassion, then that says to me that they must have been, they're probably filled with entities that are actually driving the show, instead of the consciousness that is forward, that's been pulled back, and this consciousness comes forward, and they go, yeah, sure, we'll sign some stuff. The politicians end up signing some stuff to say, yeah, no, we can destroy the environment, we can make money, who cares, we'll be out in 4 years, and another person will come in. So having that short span of time releases them off the hook of the long-term damage that's going to be happening for our children and our children's children. But then again, on the polar side of that, we've got all these good energies coming up. People are waking up on a phenomenal level and becoming conscious of everything, because everything to me is alive. And, you discover that once you discover that everything's conscious, you realize that all that consciousness has always been conscious of you. It's just that you haven't woken up to it, and you haven't started to have a relationship with that, and it becomes very compassionate. You become very drawn to Mother Earth to try and protect her. That's my own personal experience anyway. And especially like with rubbish and stuff like that, you know what I mean, just the little things and stuff like that, you just do your little bit and become like an acupressure point of positive energy from wherever you are, and that ripples out into the collective consciousness, and then we start to gather and build up all this wonderful energy, and the tide feels like it's actually turning, and maybe even balancing out a little bit right now, instead of being so lopsided with so much darkness. It seems like it's all all coming out, and we have to navigate through these energies. But the opportunity to wake up on a spiritual level, become consciousness, is absolutely fantastic. I actually feel privileged that I'm alive on the earth right now, despite all the stuff that we go through, all the negative stuff that we go through. And we've got an opportunity to learn all those tools and techniques to navigate those wonderful energies. And that's what James really does. If you go on his website, guys, and check it out, and check out his videos, and check out some of his books and everything like that, you'll find that he's got an absolutely phenomenal amount of information on there, which will help you grow spiritually. So we've got about a minute until the next break, and I think we're on the other side. We might talk about what's been happening at the ranch, what's been going on. And I know that Peter Maxwell Slattery is there. He might want to jump on if he's not too busy. I can get him on the call if he likes. And just all the energies that we have that are going on in our universe right now, because I know that we're all going through this major transformational change. So stick around, guys. I'm NIKKI Colombo, and welcome to the NIKKI Colombo Show. And I will see you on the other side of the break. And also next week, don't forget, guys, we've had a time change in Melbourne, so it'll be 2 p.m. on Saturday on Truth Frequency Radio, and it's 9 p.m. PST time in the Pacific, and also 12 midnight. I think that's in the New York time on, I can't remember the name of that. I think it's called, gee, help me out, James. What's that time called in New York? GST, no. Oh, okay, cool. All right. I'll see you on the other side of the break, guys.
Break.
And back to the Stand in the Eceti Rag.
Real people, real radio.
Initiating the truth frequency.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
Live. I'm your host, NIKKI Colombo. Welcome to the NIKKI Colombo Show. Tonight we've got the wonderful James Gilliland on. James, can you tell us about the Orion Council of Light? Why do these guys get such a bad name? Is it because there's a fraction of them that are reptilians? Can you clear that up for us?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of that information, I think, came from the Law of One group, or something of that nature, where it came out. And what happened in the ancient past, the Orion system is a huge system, and there were some major wars that went on. And, with the reptilians and the Greys, the Orions there are part of the ancient Lyrian group. They're very much, they're very similar to the Pleiadians and others. And so they are very in touch with their.
Okay, you're getting a lot of staccato.
The old council, a lot. Okay.
Yeah, you're dropping in and out, sweetie. You might have to say that again. It was all.
Okay. All right, I'll try it again. I'm trying to clear the energy.
Smooth. Yep. Let's clear the frequency. Smooth the frequencies right now. Okay, clear it out.
Okay. So I'll go back. there's the Orion Council of Light, and they're planetary liberators, and they've already gone through their wars with the reptilians and some of the Greys and other beings, and they've cleaned up their sector, their area, and now they're coming to Earth to help us. Basically, part of the ancient Lyrians, the Pleiades, the ancient Lyrians, they went and colonized the Pleiades, the Orion system, and the Hades system, and from there they came to Earth, Mars, and Maldek. And Maldek is now the asteroid belt. It's been blown up, or some people call it Malona. Depends on which culture you come from. But they're coming here now to help us, and I think it's kind of sad that people are, giving them a bad rap and focusing so much negative energy on them, because they aren't negative. And they're here, they're putting their lives on the line, and they're helping us to. There's so much inhumanity on the planet. There's so much non-human interference, and like you were saying before, that it's not humans. It's souls doing this. Their souls or they've been over by these other entities. But there's a cleanup going on, and the Andromedas are helping. The Orion Council of Light, the Pleiadians, Arcturians, Sirians, all these beings are heavily in the Pleiadians right now. The Orions are kind of like the heavy hitters. They're coming in to really help clean things up. And the Pleiadians are also assisting, but they have more genetic stock in the Earth than any other race, because Atlantis and Lemuria were Pleiadian colonies. They started from the Pleiades. So they've kind of been given the scepter. They have, more genetic stock. They're more in charge of what's according to the councils. And so there's a big shift going on, and they're doing a cleanup. The Earth, the outermost corner of the Milky Way, we've been left alone for quite a long time, and there's been these great wars, and people fled and here on Earth.
Okay, so basically, guys out there, because James just dropped out a few times there, so there's a whole bunch of different groups of ETs that are actually out there cleaning up the planet and the energies right now. So that's what's going on, guys, and it goes way back to our history through the Lyran Wars. And they all spread out and went to different planets, and I think they're on other dimensions too. A lot of the feline races did that too, didn't they, James? I have a real big affinity and resonance with the lion feline energy. I know that I've actually been protected from a raptor that I saw, and I was half asleep, half awake, and I saw this raptor in front of me, and I didn't realize it was real. I looked at it and went, is this real? And immediately I felt this blue gold energy on the right hand side of me, waiting for this raptor to make its move on me. And as soon as it put its foot down towards, because I said to myself, is that real? And bang, it put its foot towards me. But the thing is that just before it hit the floor, the foot hit the floor, I could feel this feline energy on the right side of me just go zoom straight in front of me. And I could feel that she was protecting me from this strange raptor thing that I thought it was a display. And, and I'm thinking, is it real? Bang, and I was in absolute terror going, oh my God, it's real. And immediately, these felines are so fast, James. I mean, they're just their energy is just like zoom straight in front. He or she knew, because I can't tell if it was a female or a male, and probably a bit of both. But the feline knew that this raptor was. He was waiting to see if this raptor was going to have a go at me, just to make a move on me. And as soon as it did, bang, he was bang there, straight in front of me, protecting me. And I'm, crapping myself, going, oh my God, what just happened? I'm walking down the street, looking back at it, and I see this beautiful blue gold energy just protecting me, and I'm like, holy crap, what the hell just went on there? So, I mean, have you heard of any other incidences with the feline races like that, James?
Yeah, it's pretty common. And a lot of us have had past lives in ancient periods. them in the Sirius system now. And there's 3 levels. There's the humanoid feline ones. There's kind of panther type ones that are upright. They walk upright, and then you have, which are very well documented in history. You've got Sekhmet, in the Egyptian history, the Anunnaki. They the protectors in the Egyptian lore. So they were real. In India, they called them Narshringa or Narissa, and so they're the protectors of the gods, and you don't.
And we're the gods, aren't we?
Mess with, yeah. And
we're the gods. And I don't mean to say that in an egotistical kind of way, guys. I mean it in a factual way, because James says that we are the forgotten gods that got lost in our own forgotten dream. And when I read that, I thought, holy crap, oh my God, does that resonate big time with me? But it's not in a God in a God way where it's like, I've got all these superpowers and I'm going to dominate everyone. It's not like that, guys. It's a realization that we are more powerful than what we realize, and what the history books, who have been written by those who win, have been writing, and for me they're programs of just putting us down, and all those frequencies there that are out there that promote stuff like unworthiness and abandonment and isolation and all that kind of stuff. They're programs, and we can't really, they just don't resonate with me anymore. As soon as I started to read your book and discover that I actually had more power inside myself than what I realized, and a lot of people out there are coming to this realization now. But with that beautiful power goddess and God energy, we have to be responsible for that energy, because you start manifesting things on a very quick level. And also I noticed that if I did anything wrong, I would get karmic backlash almost instantly. And it was like, oh, okay. It was kind of like a whip me into gear kind of thing. It's just like, okay, you're not doing that again. So have you noticed that as well, James? Does that seem to be the common kind of, scenario about what's playing out right now?
Well, I think a new game we're going to be playing is How Big Is Your God? And to me, God, Creator, Great Spirit, whatever name you want to give it, it's the one consciousness that encompasses all consciousness on all planes and dimensions throughout the multiverse. And in its most unlimited understanding, it's just pure unconditional love and joy and bliss. It's a force, and it serves. It's the creator in all creation, and it serves all creation. And it doesn't have an ego, and it doesn't have a beard, and it doesn't have.
It's not a big white foot coming out of the clouds, coming down to stamp on us, is it?
No, it's people don't understand. It's most of the ancient gods. When people say I don't believe in God, I say, well, which God don't you believe in? You've got the Greek gods, the Hebrew god, the Egyptian God. You've got all these beings in the past that were bearded gods and goddesses that they don't talk about very much for some reason. And some of them were very, very benevolent and loving, and some were jealous, wrathful tyrants, and so that's why you have these images of God in the Old Testament. You've got this jealous, wrathful God, that was basically a genocidal maniac. He killed millions of people. But and that's there's more understanding of that. In the New Testament, you have this all-loving, all-forgiving God, the new covenant, the new image. And people understand, either their God is schizophrenic, or there was two separate things that happened there. And these encounters, and they were encounters with some very advanced beings, and some were very service-oriented. They were benevolent, and they wanted to help humanity evolve and heal, and others were tyrants. They wanted to be served. They were self-serving. And that's where we get our images from.
Okay, just say that last little bit again. You're dropping in and out again. Okay, let's clear.
They talk about they talk about searching the scriptures in vain because they speak of a living God. All the masters talk about love, and they say on these two laws lay all the laws, and the prophets like love God with all your heart, love your neighbor as yourself. And I think, honor the sacred circle of life, love the creator and all creation. They should have added something else that includes nature, because when you say love God with all your heart, people are thinking of this bearded guy, with a tablet that's taking notes and a on one hand and a lap on the other. The creator is omnipresent in all creation, and no matter how much you can't separate, but which is what we're in. We're separate from the one consciousness that encompasses all consciousness, and because we're in this personality ego program, and we think we're a body and a person, and we transcend. We have to transcend all cultural, religious to get into unity consciousness, and some people say this is blasphemy. It's the same teachings that Jesus taught, but people just didn't figure it out.
Yeah, okay, so it's the same teacher. I'm just going to repeat what James said, guys, because he's gone in a little bit in and out again, but it's the same. It's the omnipresent God that's everywhere, unconditional love. Now, I know about your near-death experience. Is that when you had your near-death experience, and I know you were going in the surf and you got knocked out. What did it look like when you were talking to the creator of everything? Was it a light or consciousness energy, or what did it look like, James?
Yeah, what happens is you're a light when that happens, and so there's a greater consciousness and energy or light that's surrounding you. So you're in this pure golden light, and you're so blissed out. And you feel so loved and so safe and so secure. There's no words for that to explain it unless you've been there. And that's when I understood after that experience. I went through the tunnel that everybody talks about. I went through many, many dimensions and levels, and that's where they call it the plane. And that's where I ended up, and I had a conversation.
And you had a conversation with Source. Oh, damn.
And if
sorry, darling, you're chopping.
Are you losing me?
You're chopping in and out again. Oh, come on. Kazekiel, where are you? Come on. Smooth out the frequencies for us so we can get James coming through nice and loud and clear without any drops, please. So it is. Just repeat that, James. Sorry, sweetie. God.
Where do you want me to start? Did I break up again?
Oh my God. Start from the very beginning. No, just as you got to the part where you actually were face to face. So it was a consciousness. What did it look like? Light. You're the light. Yeah. And did you meld with that? Was it like a melding of both consciousness together? Were you inside it? I know that unconditional love that you talk about, James, because I've experienced that myself. I had a major Kundalini awakening, a non-sexual one, and the next day, I could, there are no earth words to describe what unconditional love really is, and I feel very blessed that I actually had a very tiny glimpse of it when I actually had I met this beautiful ultra-dimensional, my higher self, and she knew what was going on, and she smiled at me, and she was glowing, and she was absolutely beautiful. I could tell that she was very pure. There were no toxins in her, and she kind of glowed with this kind of neon light coming in and out, and she knew what was going on, and she, and the love that she gave me, it wasn't a love of when you're in love with someone, you're skipping around the room, that's joy, and then it wasn't kind of a blissful love where you're all blissed out, in nirvana, that kind of thing. It was kind of a mixture of both, but not exactly. So there's not really words to describe exactly what unconditional love really is. And I think that's the same experience that you went through. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. is I was a light being at the time. I was out of my body, and I was a light being, and there's a light that was surrounding me. That was just this pure golden white light, was just pure unconditional love and joy and bliss. And that was the experience that I had, and I had a conversation with it. And the first thing I asked was, how can I stay? And it came back to me, and it said, you can't, it's basically, it said, you can't earn what is given freely and unconditionally. And I'm going, wait a second, this isn't the image of God that I was given,
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, how can I earn the right to stay? And it just kept saying, you can't earn this. It's automatic. It's free. It's like, you just have to forgive and release and let go. And so, the more I went into it, the more I kept, asking questions about, and then I asked, how can I serve? Because I just wanted to give something back. I was so grateful and, for the experience. And it came back to me and says, what do you want to do? What brings you joy? And then I realized that's when the light went on. I go, you know what? I said, the closer I am to doing what brings me joy, the closer I am to God, because that's what it is. It's pure love and joy and bliss. And so I need to start being true to myself. And that's what self-mastery is all about, is being true to your own unique soul purpose. And the more you're aligned with your soul and your soul purpose, the more blissful you are, the more access to energy, or everything. Amazing. But I realized from that one statement that I get it. I finally get it. And I said, I just want to come back to Earth and teach people about the true nature of Source, what it really is. And the last words I heard were, as you wish. And then I was back in my body, and these guys pulling water, so I was gone for quite some time on the other side. But that was my experience. And the door was left open after that, which was interesting. And I started experiencing everything, all through the fourth dimension, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, and I had all these beings. I started seeing all my past lives were being shown to me. It was just rapid teaching from there on out.
And that was you had a real estate company or something like that, and that after that experience you completely changed everything, and that's how Eceti was born, isn't it? Did that take a little while for you to do that, or was that almost instant overnight for you?
It was pretty instant, and it's pretty instant. I was in commercial real estate, and I was working with a lot of big name people, and that would rent out shopping centers and big commercial buildings and things like that. And I just couldn't do it anymore. When I came back into it, people would say one thing, something else, and then they do something totally different, And I was wide open. I was ultra sensitive, and I just said, this is driving me crazy. And I had people trying to sue me, and just crazy. That it's a crazy world. And even though you're totally in integrity, you don't tease. It's like everybody. It's just Sharkville, And I just had to get out of it. I said I can't be in this frequency and this energy, and started working in the high desert, back where roots were. And from there I went to the Redwoods in California and was living up in the Redwoods.
Now, Kuan Yin, I've seen a picture of her in one of your videos. I find that absolutely fascinating, that she looks like the painting with the dragon and everything. Like the big Japanese guy took that photo, didn't he? What's his name again?
Yeah, Kansan. He's
Kansan, yeah.
Yeah, he's like 6'4" or something like that. I don't know how much he's a big guy. He was like an street fighter, and then he went spiritual and had all awakenings. And he came to the ranch, was teaching workshops. We're trying to get him back out again. But amazing guy, and he would do 21-day dark retreats in a cave. Just water. That's all he'd be drinking, water. He had a joke. He says, the funny thing about dark retreats is they're not really dark. right, because you have all these beings coming to you and everything. But he could actually see the beings, and he was walking, taking photographs. And I said, "Hey, can you get a photograph of Ezekiel?" Got to be bliss. It's an ascension of Ezekiel and Cassia, feminine energy. They merged, and he said, "I'll try." And I said, "Just go out there and meditate on Ezekiel, and you know, they'll come to you." And so he did, and they came to him, and he got a photograph, and it looks like a crystal city behind it, like from a whole different dimension. Just beautiful photograph. And when I was teaching
I've seen that.
Self-mastery class, I was teaching the self-mastery class, and her energy came in, and the women were crying. And I told him to take a photograph, and that's a photograph of Mary right over the group when we were doing the self-mastery class.
Yeah, I've seen that photograph. It moves. It's like her cheeks go rosier, and then they kind of dine down, and then but I mean, this is a still photo, guys. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, I've looked at it many times and shown it to many people, and I say, "What do you see when you see this?" And they're like, "It moves." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's our Mother Mary. Apparently, she loves to dance and wear lots of jewelry." And I went, "Hey, I like her already."
Yeah, Mary Magdalene was, she went through all the Egyptian mystery schools, and she was a very high priestess. And unfortunately, you know, the Bible turned her into a whore, which was total nonsense. But she was beautiful energy, very powerful, and she actually likes to dance. And she does these swirling dances that actually open up vortexes to the higher dimensions and brings in the higher dimensions. It's just amazing. A lot of people will see her in meditation dancing, you know, dancing around the hall.
Oh my God. You know what? I think if I was there, I would probably cry too, because that would be so touching to see such beautiful feminine energy, being a woman and living in such a patriarchal society, which is kind of that masculine unbalanced side is leveling out right now. So to see something like that as a woman, I'd be bawling my eyes out too.
Yeah, I agree.
From happy tears, you know, emotional happy tears. That would be beautiful.
People get their start here, you know, they get started, and you know, and unfortunately, a lot of that feminine has been pushed out of the UFO community and the spiritual community. And what's sad is, by nature, women are more connected. You know, they're more subjected to spirit, and they're more connected than men, and they should be receiving the guidance, and men should be more carrying out what needs to get done. It would be a lot more functional. You know, we're pretty dysfunctional down here right now.
So that's why we've got to do the inner sacred marriage, guys. Look that up. So we're going to be on the other break with
Censorship
James.
and regulation is becoming an ever-growing...
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
The wicked ones obviously under heavy Masonic influence.
I'm your host, NIKKI COLOMBO. Welcome to the NIKKI COLOMBO Show, and we're talking to the fantastic James Gilliland from the Eceti Ranch. And a lot of people come up to James and say, "So when is contact gonna happen, James?" And he turns around and says, "Well, it's been happening for 26 years on the ranch right now." It's like, come on, guys, get with the program. Yeah, I can see the smirk on your face when you're actually saying those words, James. People, I would love to see the look on people's faces when you actually say those words, because a lot of people don't really know. Well, the rest of the world doesn't really know about your ranch, but they're starting to understand that it actually exists now and tap into that. And you're probably getting a lot more visitors than you were, say, 10 years ago. Is that the case now?
Yeah, we've had tens of thousands of people come up here and have their own experience. And it's really funny. I don't even have to defend anything anymore, because
that's
when
great.
somebody starts attacking us, and they always do, all these other people who have been here rise up and just eat them for lunch. So I think that's great, because we have the support, and we've had, triple PhD Boeing engineers up here, Lockheed Skunk Work engineers, Air Force base commanders, pilots, air traffic controllers, everybody. They've all been up here and they've seen the ships, and they just said, they're not ours. We don't know what they are. And they're definitely, they're unidentified. They can't identify us. We had these engineers up here once, and a massive ship started coming right at, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger as it came in, and it just stopped. And I mean, they're ready to hit the ground. They were like, "Oh, heck!" And that was a bit like the lady. And then it moved back towards the mountain.
Sorry, darling, we're getting a bit of a cross thing. You moved across the mountain. Now you talked about that woman that said, are you sure you want to see the ships? Are you sure? And she's like, yeah. And as soon as the ships showed up, she ran to a tree and hung onto a tree.
yeah, exactly. This is the thing is, this is real. You got to be ready for it, and they know how ready you are. They'll stay as high in the sky as you're ready to experience, and it turns your whole belief system up and down, because when you see this and it's real, you go, God, if this is real, what else have I been lied to about? What else is going on? And it really opens people up, and really that's what it's all about. It's not, to me, the UFOs are the bait, the real experience, and are attracted because they want to see a UFO. They start asking the question, if they have this kind of technology, how advanced are they? How do they live? What's their political world like? And they start asking all these questions, and you try to explain to them, look, they don't want for anything. They have replicators, they have free energy, they have anti-gravity, counter-gravity, they have councils that run their planets, and the council members are chosen according to their spiritual adeptness and their track record of service. It's not like ours, unfortunately. And we need to do the same thing and actually start teaching our children differently than we do now.
Yeah, you know what? I had Randy Kramer on last week, and he was saying, look, think about it, for the past 70 years and all the money, and we've had the top scientists and all the money and the black budgets and all the money that's gone into the black budgets. He said, I can assure you we have really advanced. We have really advanced with the technologies that are being held back from the planet, and only are used by the elites. And, he said, of course, I believe that, the whole planet should have that. I'm sure the other ETs out there are, on the same wavelength about that. Do you think we're pretty close to that all coming out, or has, the powers that were on the planet locked themselves into such a corner of like, we've had this technology, for quite a long time, and people are going to be asking about how, how come it hasn't been, released to the planet? I mean, is that going to be a day where we hit critical mass, and there's going to be a lot of, pretty pissed off people. How are the ETs going to handle that energy where people realize what's going on and trying to balance all that out, so when that energy does come out and all those wonderful healing techniques and tools come out for the planet, what are the ETs? Have they got some sort of plan? They're going to help us ride through that, or what's going down there, James? What's going to happen?
Yeah, definitely. It's like, what's really interesting is there are things happening, and some people know about them, and a lot of people get upset when you start talking politics and things like that. But, if you follow the queue, they're the ones that are really clear on what's happening. If you want to know the real news, follow those guys, or, Jordan Souther, or some of these guys that are I like Sir Patrick Mack. He's great, and they'll tell you the truth about what's really going down. But it's much bigger than that, though. It's like the source itself is pressing its energy, its conscious energy in on the earth. And all these multidimensional beings are part of that process. And the earth, even the inner earth beings are part of it. And so the shift is happening. It's unstoppable. And the people that aren't frequency specific to this event that's coming are not going to be here. It's that simple. They have to make this transition, and they can't do it unless they drop back into their hearts and start being of service to humanity, the earth, because our world is imploding, and the people that are continuing, like the globally elite that aren't making this shift, they're going to be here. They're not frequency specific to where the earth is going. And also their karma is going to be accelerated. They think they're beyond karma. So this is a major acceleration process. And, karma is going to be accelerated. Reaction is going to be accelerated. Everything's going to start moving. And you got to, go with the flow. Is best I can say it, because there's a massive flow of energy coming in. And, even NASA knows about this. The cosmic rays are off the scale right now, according to their charts. Gamma rays, the UV, infrared, all of that is off the scale right now. And that's creating, even DNA changes. And every time the sun goes off with a solar flare, it affects the bioelectric fields of the body, and people go into process. Even the full moon is putting this, that we're in right now, is putting us in process, so we're not immune to these energies, and people that think they are above these energies or outside of these energies are just fooling themselves, because you can't get away from it. And you can see there's people that, in all the you can see there's people that are pushing towards unity consciousness. Hey, let's transcend all the religions and the cultures and realize we all came from the same source. Let's work together. I don't care what color, what culture you are. We're gonna judge you by, your core, your heart, basically. And that's where people are going. And then you have the other people that are trying to sow separation and division and keep all this other nonsense going. Even the gross, not even dispersal of wealth, all that stuff. That's all coming to a close, and there's some major turning the planet around, and that's in the works too as well. So we're going to go through a huge transition on every level: social, economic, and physical. Earth changes as well.
And is you talk about the pink gamma ray? Is that the pink? Is our Earth moving into that pink gamma ray that you show in your videos, where it's like this great big pink bubble on one side on the top and then down the bottom? And is our planet moving through that pink, beautiful pink gamma ray? Is that what would you call the love ray?
Yeah, well, that's the gamma ray is seventh dimensional consciousness, is what it is, and people don't realize that light and consciousness come together. And people think the sun is just light. Well, no, it's consciousness. There's actually beings living physical. They're light beings, and they're conscious, and that consciousness there's a feedback between the Earth and all connected, and our sun is connected to the central sun as well as all the other suns. So it's all connected, and the central sun has said, guess what, kids? We're going to the next level. You know, and it's pulsed, it's energy out. And the center of our galaxy is where that pulse that you're talking about is happening. It's going out, it's moving out through all the rest of the galaxy. And so there you go. You know, you can't fly off to Mars or some base on the moon or wherever off of the trip. That's where you go. This energy, we're going to the next level. And in third dimension, transformed into a whole different frequency.
Okay, so you just broke up a little bit there. So basically, we're going to be transformed into a new frequency, guys. So it's about being frequency specific. So it's about clearing out all of your old stuff and making way for the new, because then when our planet fully goes through this, we can actually plug in to those energies because we're frequency specific, right? Okay, so the ones that aren't frequency specific won't be able to plug in when the Earth passes through this frequency shift. And so what I kind of imagine is that I'm standing on the street and I'm in my own sphere of high frequency, and I will experience my experiences on a completely different level to, say, someone who's standing right next to me that is not on that frequency specific high vibration and will be experiencing their reality on a much lower vibration, even though two people could be standing right next to each other, and we actually are experiencing reality on completely two different levels. That sounds like we're kind of right in the transition of right in between two worlds right now, James. Is that right?
Yes, I mean, there's actually 8 Earths. People don't realize that there's more than one Earth. There's actually 8, but and it may even go on beyond that. But what happens with this energy, it's a great amplifier, and it's, you know, its highest levels, it's love, joy, and bliss. And what happens is people that are full of fear and jealousy and anger and greed and things like that, that all gets amplified, and that actually implodes in on itself. It's not sustainable. And so what's happening is that's all going to be amplified, and their kingdoms are built on that greed and that other stuff are going to implode energetically. They're just going to crash. You're going to see all these major corporations. A lot of major corporations are going to go down with this, and because they've done to the earth, humanity, and you're going to see a lot of this stuff end up floating. And if they're not really providing a service, you know, they're not going to be around. They're just going to implode on themselves.
So at that time, guys, we take control of our own self-sovereignty, so that while all these transitions are actually happening, it's really important to, you know, tap into your own sacred space and have your own sovereignty and claim your own sovereignty as your own sacred space and be the core, you know, like the eye in the storm. Be peaceful and be neutral, because all this chaos is going to be going around us. And people are going to freak out because some of these corporations are, you know, pretty mighty. And, you know, if they, you know, implode, then people will be looking or projecting on the outside for some sort of leadership, when in actual fact, you should be actually going, it's advisable that you go inside and have your own leadership and be your own self-sovereign God source. And the way you do that is that you have to determine or discern about what is a living light, which is self-perpetuating light that is actually connected to the God source, whereas this other artificial light that people get sucked into is a light that actually has to feed upon us. And that's the difference between the two frequencies, guys. When you are confronted by two, you know, beings or energy, you can tell the difference between the living light and the false light, because one will feed off you and the other light will be self-perpetuating and give, you know, energy and light to you. Am I on the right track there, James, or is that what you experienced too? Or okay.
Well, one thing is that you really think it. You can't outgive the source. You know, you can't outserve it, basically. And it's service to self versus service to others. It's that type of thing. And also too, I see that this energy, when it comes in, when you align with it, it's empowering. It empowers the individual to follow their own unique soul purpose and rise to their highest level. That's what it's about. That's how the other races live. They live under universal law, and they know when children are born, they know the destiny of that child. They know what they're here to do, their unique soul purpose, and they give them everything they need to fulfill that purpose. And they're also in unity consciousness, so they give back to the whole. So they'd actually take the kids up on a ship and turn the ship into a light. And the kids would have their own near-death experience, and they come back and they'd realize the oneness of life and everything. And with that unity consciousness, or that knowledge of oneness, they would excel and be in service to the whole. And so that's something we could do as well. We have that technology right now on the planet, but we need to totally revamp our schools and stop. I mean, this social program nonsense has to quit. And, with all the competition and the separation games and all these other things, and start teaching the kids the basic, teach them universal law first, and, how to be kind to each other and be kind to the planet, versus compete and make that almighty buck at any expense. I like the old Cherokee saying, if it isn't good for everyone, it isn't good. And we need to operate from that.
And I like the way you talk about how the grandmothers should be in charge. I think our world would be completely different if we had those beautiful grandmothers from the Native Americans that are so connected to the earth, calling the shots. The planet would be clean, you know what I mean? And we'd have all, the medi beds down here, and, we'd have free energy, and, it could be completely transformational. There'd be no competition. The world, I find that the planet is actually big enough to hold all of us, because, I think there's the program, like you said, that's actually out there that is manufactured lack. And then people fall into this thought of competition, but in actual fact, there's plenty for everybody. It's all about energy. But because of some of these powers that have been, producing a program out there of manufactured lack, people fall for that. And that's when, the depopulation program comes in, and we talk about that as well. And, then that just incites fear. And it's like, well, it's not really like that, guys. There's something else out there that we can actually tap into besides those ego mind programs that pulse us into doing things that really aren't healthy for ourselves or for the planet. And that's something that we really have to be aware of, don't we, James? Is that our ego mind it seems to be prompted into doing stuff on an ego level subconsciously that people aren't even bloody well aware of. That's the problem in the world today, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's social programming. And, you like over here, we have like CNN and MSNBC or whatever. I don't even know what these stations are. And it's like we just went through this whole thing. I know one of your newscasters was talking about how the Mueller report, and no collusion, no obstruction. And so the people that have been pumping that for 2 years over and over again now have egg on their face. And they're still trying to pump that scenario, even though there's no, all these guys investigating were all Democrats. They had a vested interest and extreme bias, and they still couldn't find anything. So I think now people are waking up and they're going, oh my God, I go to these guys for my information, and now I'm finding out they're all lying to me. If they lied to me about this, what else are they lying to me about? And the fake news is gone viral now. It's sad. It's epidemic. But I think people are starting to realize it. And a lot of people are saying, you know what, I'm going to throw my TV out the window. I mean, I did that in the 70s, basically. And so,
I would have liked to seen you've done that, James. You got any footage on that?
No,
you must look like a rock star.
I really did throw it out the window. I just said, I'm done with this. I can't stand the frequency, the energy, the deception. Yeah. And it wasn't as bad then. Then you had investigative reporters and things like that, and you had a lot more truth going out. But now it's sad because the global elite basically run, the news stations. And now, if you go to just Google it, find out there's all the news stations, they all go to the same feed. They get the same information and they all say the exact same thing. The headlines are always the same, and they're just talking heads. They say what they're told to say, and they don't have an opinion of their own. And they try to act like they're emotionally involved in it. They're talking heads, basically. And the investigative reporters are actually coming through the internet. They're coming through. That's where you get, a lot, more conservative radio shows and things like that is where you're hearing the real truth, unfortunately. But, I don't want to call myself conservative, but I'm more aligned with more of the, I'm more into, basically the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, unity, individual freedom and prosperity for everybody. That's what I'm looking at. A lot of these people have been duped. They've been brainwashed. A lot of people even think that like this Green New Deal thing is there's nothing about it. It's she called the Greed New Deal, but it's sad because you're not going to stop cows from farting. Come on, that's. Say
that again. You're not gonna stop. What did you say? Brain farting?
No, I said you're not going to stop cows from farting. I'm sorry. And,
okay. Isn't that ridiculous? You know what? Even if half the population believes that that silly idea, they're going to run with it, don't they? That's the thing with these stupid things about, hey, it's the cows that are destroying our environment. Even if half the population does believe that, they will still run with it. And I have a bit of a giggle about what's being programmed out there now. I find it all actually hilarious and funny because I see it for what it is, and I understand that, the mainstream news out there does give a tiny little bit of truth, maybe about the weather, but everything else out there is all programmed, and you just got to look at them, guys, as if, they're just like a hand with a puppet, because they're all programmed to tell us, the
weather's off too, because
even the weather's off.
And what they do is they adjust the small towns and things cooling down. According to NASA, there's more ice. The Arctic, both Arctics have regained their ice, more so than before. And this is NASA. This is the NASA photos. And so the Munder, which go into more of a mini ice age. But all the statistics are saying the opposite. And all the planets are going through atmospheric changes and climate change. Yes, we're going through all kinds of changes with the climate. And the Earth is adjusting to these frequencies, these new energies. But this whole carbon tax and this other stuff, that's just a big moneymaker. It's a plan to give control to, the globalists, basically. And we need to figure that out. And it's sad all the younger people are duped into believing this, and they're marching for things they haven't researched. They haven't even looked at the raw data or done the real research.
That's a shame, isn't it? People are putting their energies into something that's actually false. Boy, are they going to get a big wake-up call when all this stuff goes down. So we've got about a minute until the next break. I'm going to probably ask James on the other side of the break about the dimensions and what's happening there, guys, because I know that I know the Schumann resonance is actually off the scales in the last couple of weeks, and it's been really affecting with a lot of people with being very tired and having headaches And what's happening is you just need to go down and have a lie down, because all the frequencies are coming in. And once you have a bit of a lie down, your body will process that. And you'll feel a lot better. Just rest when you can, guys. Okay, I'm NIKKI Colombo. Welcome to the NIKKI Colombo Show. And we're with James Gilliland. And we're going to see you on the other side of the break, guys. So stick around.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
No hate, no hype, no fear. Real people, real radio.
And we are back with James Gilliland, and I'm your host, NIKKI Colombo. Welcome to the NIKKI Colombo Show. James, the people in the hollow earth, I know some people might be shocked to hear this, and I'm quoting you here. There are people living in the earth, or the hollow earth, or the honeycombed earth. Do they live in a different dimension, James? Are they in 3D, or are they in a different dimension, or what's going on there?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. What's going on in the inner earth? Sorry, darling. What's going on in the inner earth? Do these guys live in a different dimension, James? Are they going to come out first, or are the guys from the sky going to all show up in one big big show? Because I've actually had lots of dreams of multiple ships in various sizes all decloaking themselves all in one go, while I've seen all these beautiful aurora colours everywhere, and I've been told that that's the start of the dimensional shift. Do they live in a different dimension, James, or are they 3D down there in the inner earth, or the hollow earth, or the honeycombed earth as well?
They're both, and there's multi-dimensions going on there. We have a doorway, in Mount Adams. The ships come in and out. And, actually Peter Slattery he's here right now, and he filmed the ships coming in and out of the doorway. We just observe it, and I filmed it with night vision all the time. We see the door open and ships going in and out of it, and actually light being out of it too as well. But there's so much going on there. There's a major, like, spaceport there, where they work with the Pleiadians and the Orion Counts of Light and Sirians and Andromedans, and a lot of Sirian activity around the mountain because they're protecting it. And then you've got the inner earth and the lower levels. You've got the other beings, and it's a whole plethora of beings down there. Everything from 8-foot tall beings that wear robes to much smaller beings that are usually the smaller ones are in control because they're very advanced. They've actually they have a lot of the animals that were here on Earth preserved down there, even mythological ones. But they've been around forever, and here they closed off the opening for a long time because the Native Americans used to take their sick and wounded up there, and they'd be healed almost instantaneously. They'd take them in, come right back out, and that was going on for years. And they had to close the door because we were getting too aggressive, and our technology was increasing beyond our spirituality. So they had to close it off. But they're still there, and if you have the right technology, you can actually see pyramids up there, light pyramids, all kinds of things going on up there. And if you can get out of your body, get into your spiritual bodies, you can see a multidimensional experience there. They're, what people call like elves and fairies and things like that still exist, and they exist on the interior there. But, there's 6-dimensional elven beings there as well, working on. We've had a lot of contact with them. So
would they be considered the elementals? Are they called the elementals? They are.
Yeah. They a lot of them are in the fourth dimension, but they go up through the dimensions. There's very advanced ones. We have photographs of fairies, undeniable photographs of fairies and beings like that here at the ranch.
I've seen it. I've seen that beautiful one with the ball. She's holding the ball up in the air like that, and it's side on, and she's got some sort of spiral around it. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, we have ones with wands in their hands and little gnome type beings walking around, and because we're in a vortex here. It's a multi-dimensional space here, and the veils are very thin between worlds. And so we're having all kinds of experiences, even Bigfoot. We're having a lot of Bigfoot experience here, and multiple witnesses have seen that. And most of them are so blown away energetically, they don't even take a picture. I mean, and I don't really care about proving it. I don't really
You're over it. I know exactly. I've got gazillions of photos too, and I'm just like, I show people who are interested, and I don't waste energy on people who aren't interested because they just can't see what I can see. So that's
we had let me think of his name. Lorcan O'Toole was here, and with another woman.
Say that again, sweetie, because you just dropped out. Who?
Lorcan O'Toole, which is Peter O'Toole's son, was here with named Tiffany, and we had a whole fleet of ships go over, and we filmed that together. It was pretty amazing. On their way back, they're walking down the road, and this comes walking by right in front of them, just blew their minds. And we have their testimony on film, but. You got to treat these things with reverence. I don't think they film. They don't want to be bothered. And we have a saying here. The Native Americans have a saying: if you go searching for Bigfoot, you'll never find him, but once he'll find you. So you have to be in the right frame of mind if you're going to have these experiences. People come up here and they put apples out and peanut butter, and they have their